This is the Artist Entrepreneur Podcast. We are your hosts, Amanda Ritchie, Noah Dock, and me, Kerry Wee. We're three artists brought together by the love of circus and dance. Amanda from the world of Cirque du Soleil as an aerial soloist. Noah, our academic, and me from the commercial dance world. This is one of the greatest jobs in the world, but it comes with uncertainty. Each episode contains insight on how to pursue art-based businesses. We'll have a variety of guests and have lively weekly Discord. Tune in every week to hear our perspectives on the minefield that is the artist's way of life. You're on your way to Viva Fest in Vegas.
I am.
Weather in Vegas is going to be beautiful, and you are in the midst of your 2-week March Madness, which is different than actual March Madness, which is basketball, right? It is basketball. I am not a sports fan, so I would not know, but yeah, it's basketball.
It's my own version. It's my Amanda twist.
Yeah, because you're doing Viva Fest, and then next week you have Fire and Flight Retreat, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So they changed my schedule, thank goodness, for Viva, because I was supposed to be judging today at 7 a.m., which meant that I would have had to drive overnight. Oh. But yeah, they changed it for me. So I'm only teaching today. I'm only teaching workshops, and I start at 3. I was able to sleep in my bed and wake up and have coffee. It was nice.
Okay. And what are you teaching today? What classes?
I am teaching 2 silks workshops today, and then tomorrow I judge, and then I teach 2 other silk workshops, and then Sunday I teach hoop workshops. So 4 silks total, 2 hoop total, plus judging.
Okay. Now, do you have this mapped out, or do you have to, for me, I have so much crap in my head that I can just pop in usually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure of the levels I'll have. So I have content for every level. So if I have a mix, then I have something that I can, progress and regress. And if I have people who are know their stuff, I can give them a really hard, intricate, droppy sequence. And if I don't have anybody, or if I have people who are brand new, I have a nice footlock sequence. So I'm prepared. Yeah. I'm prepared. I got stuff.
I love this.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where I have to sit and plan. I just pull, like you do, pull from what we already have,
That's the great thing about teaching all the time.
Yeah.
You just have an arsenal of things. So that's exciting.
Yeah, we can be at the ready literally any moment at any level.
I think that's why it's not so stressful to teach. I think it's stressful to teach when you're not in it.
Yeah.
You're oh my God, what am I teaching?
Yeah. Yeah. Bungee is new for me to teach. And so I have to think. I actually have to sit and think and understand what it is. Whereas I haven't had to do that for aerial in years,
Yeah. So it's a bit of the front work is there for that.
The familiarity of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I haven't had to do that in a very long time,
Yeah. I mean, whenever somebody asks me to teach an apparatus I'm not always on, I'm whoa, hold on, puppy. Hold on, horsey. Let me figure this out. Yeah. So what else? Because you had a crazy time. How are you? Is it just one day at a time type of situation?
For now, for the next 2 weeks, it's one day at a time. I have my March Madness planned out, so it's not coming at me spontaneously or sporadically. But I'm okay, I just got to get through today. Let me get through today, and then I'll focus on tomorrow. And then I'll focus on tomorrow, and then I'll focus on tomorrow. It's one of those. But of course, in the midst of all of this, my taxes were due. I had an order that went and got delivered to the wrong address. So now I have to find and search where that package is and try to get it back to me and file a claim and things like that, and I had to get my car serviced and my car needed XYZ. And it's can you do that April or February?
Well, Amanda, we talked about this. I've been under a mountain of admin for weeks.
I know. Yeah.
And it is the least fun part of our lives. I feel like, I mean,
Yeah.
every adult
Totally.
I've ever met has to do admin. There's no way around it. But we have a Noah
Totally.
Doc, and he is giving us Snow Mountain vibes currently. Can you see him? I love how he slid in there, though.
I can't.
Good job, dude. He slides in. I wasn't looking at the camera because Amanda's not on camera. You want to say hi to Noah Bean?
Where is Noah?
He looks like he's in his office. Come here.
Thank you.
Hi,
You are
Dean.
late again. You're a member of your boss.
I know.
Noah,
I messed up.
you are fired.
Called out.
She fired you. Wow.
That's a real.
Called out,
Oh my
Noah
God.
Doc. Called out.
I mean, does anybody in the world call you out like Bean does every week?
I mean, I do, but you know, that's what-
Noah, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you guys?
Are you sure? Are you sure you're okay?
I'm a little slower today.
Fair.
Okay, you can warm up into this. We're gonna just hold on to our butts until Amanda like somehow gets too far into the desert and has no more connectivity. So we're gonna just
Yeah. We're gonna ride that
The
wave
only
out.
time I lose service on that drive is the hill on the way. On the way.
Yeah, I'm currently, where am I? Palmdale right now, I think. Like the 14. They took me on Peachtree, that route. So I'm not even on the 15 yet. So I should be okay until I hit the 15, and then it's gonna get a little stupid.
okay. We'll see. What day is it? It's Friday.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's busy, huh? There's a lot of drivers on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had a FedEx nightmare recently, and then I am moving eventually. We are dealing with contractors for both houses right now because one needs to get some work done. The other one we're getting ready to move in. Two, being schools for next year, we're doing all the work now because you lottery in February, March, April. So we're dealing with school enrollment. And I have just decided that I am expanding my offerings, wrap your head around silks in two big ways. So I've been working on that. That's my update.
Yay! Can we hear about the expansion, or is that top secret?
It's not top secret. So I've decided, out of all the talk we've had, Amanda and I, about teacher training, I've decided to go with a completely virtual private version, which I don't think exists.
That's amazing.
So it's going to be a 200-hour private version with an aim to finish it in 6 months from when you start. And it's going to be a combination of videos that I produce and put out there for all the content. They got to do things and teach things on video, hand in homework, an anatomy mini course. And then I'm going to just... The problem that we talked about, Amanda, with teachers graduating from these programs without the actual skill set they need. So basically, because it's private, it's going to be a little bit costly, but I'm going to make sure that they're there, or I won't give them the certificate.
Yay!
That's the way I'm getting around it.
Hercules!
Yes, that's the way I'm getting around the
I love
problem
that.
of coordinating different time zones to different times. I'm getting around all of that, and then I'll just schedule the Zooms when they need to be. That was the epiphany. Boom.
I love
It
that.
actually works in
Yay.
not just in my head,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
practicality of it. Well, freaking that is needed. Like we've had that conversation before of teacher training. You know how I feel about it. So I'm excited. I'm excited that you actually have something that it holds people account. You know what I mean?
And it's
Like,
gonna
that's
gonna
awesome.
be set apart from the other ones that I love and respect. All these people out there, Paper Doll Militia and Jill Franklin that do these things. But the element,
Sure.
the part of the course that is not really out there is the business part of being a teacher. So retaining clientele, culture of the studio, how to deal with the culture of the studio, how to be professional. Because even in dance, all this stuff, you're like, they're starting to come out, but you learn how to dance, but then you don't know how to be in the business of dance. So I'm going to also
Totally.
have a big part of that course be business of teaching in this culture that we have in the studio culture here in America and across the world. I don't know as much about, but in America I do. And then The second one is I'm just expanding my virtual classes. So like right now I have a roll it out, but I'm expanding it to flexibility and strength training in home subscription. So I'm figuring it out, y'alls. It's happening.
Woohoo! That's awesome. Heck yeah.
Yeah, and then Noah has a really great little update for us today. Do we not? Please.
Tell us.
We finished development last week, and so now we're going into alpha testing, and I have people trying to break the app and test it and message one another, and that's what I'm doing sort of in conjunction with our podcast today. So I'm sending in a bunch of tickets of bugs and things that weren't working for my meeting later, and yeah.
I love it, and I put it out on my story. Yeah, I put it on my story for people to grab the link.
I shared that story.
Amazing.
Supportive by proxy. That's awesome, Noah. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it's exciting.
Is it feeling different now that there are people involved? Not just you and your team?
Not yet, but I'm sure it will.
Cocktail time? When is this cocktail thing happening?
I think my goal is to do the first weekend in April. What month is it? Yeah, April 4th, I think, is my goal, but I haven't set it up yet. I was up in Mammoth the last 3 days. One of the reasons why I'm so tired is because I drove back at 2 a.m. And I was up in Mammoth. I was working, dealing with some real estate stuff, which is fun. Once I get all my stuff done today, I think I'll start planning that next event, which is fun.
Are you, when it comes to the real estate stuff, were you learning, doing, meeting people?
Buying, selling.
I was with the real estate team that I do social media and marketing for. And I was meeting with some potential renters for a condo unit.
Moving and grooving.
Your condo unit or their condo unit?
Their condo unit or somebody else.
Cool. Nice.
You know what I love about us, and well, I don't know. I definitely think this podcast has inspired me to do this even more. But I listened to this guy. His name is Scott Galloway. He's a podcaster, pretty big podcaster, and he always talks about the space between thinking of doing something and doing something and shortening it and shortening it and shortening it. No matter what it is, like don't dream and just dream. Like don't
let your dreams be dreams.
Inspired action.
Like, do it because sometimes it's just the first step, and then it'll just lead you to a really obvious second step. So I love that. I love that, and I feel like I do that even more. Like I don't let it sit in my brain too long because it just doesn't. Like it, I can figure out if it works pretty fast if I just do a little bit.
Yeah. I get that.
Oh, this is the one I think I want to tell you guys. So when things drop into your lap. So I, pray tell, am now performing this weekend as well as last week.
Heck yeah.
So I was asked, and it was one of these things where I was like, here's money, that's not bad, for like an hour and a half of ambient. Like not consistently, but like you're there for an hour and a half. So
right, like 10 on, 10 off kind of a thing.
So I'm working a gig. I'm working a gig on
awesome.
Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
I pulled out some costumes, and guess what? Past Kerry did. Past Kerry decided to get really crafty and like rhinestone a bunch of like kind of brand new costumes during the pandemic for fun.
Ooh.
Like not just for fun. I was like, I still have this production company with my friend Kelly because she has a lot of work in the Midwest. So we take on some gigs sometimes where she's like we got a client and they just want a couple aerialists to a couple dancers. And so during the pandemic, when I was just when everybody's sitting at home, I decided to like Amazon a bunch of rhinestones and glue. And I just went to town on some like pieces that I bought from Shein.
Nice.
And they were just done in my closet, folded with some like paper wrapping, like perfect. I was like, oh, Kerry from the past. Thank you.
It's just waiting for you to,
Or somebody else, or for me to clothe somebody else in it. But, they're all size medium or small. And I got costumes. I bought makeup for the first time in 5 years because of the gig last week.
Tax write-off too. I love it.
So I got some new cheap makeup. Oh, I don't have a red lip. I need to go get a red lip. But besides that, I am good. And hello, San Antonio. Apparently, I'm putting some tights on once in a while.
Please have somebody video so that one, I can see, and two, you can use it for other promotional stuff.
I'm going to ask if I can do that, and if I can, I will, just because I like to see what the heck my legs were doing. During my performance last week, do you guys know when you have a little bit of a fog of a performance where you just forget kind of what you did? Do you ever forget a little bit? No, it's like no. Oh,
yeah. But sometimes that means to me that I did a good job.
Okay, well then I did a great job because I forgot half the things. Like, oh, how did that S-Rep really go? So I had to go look the video, and I was like, oh, thank God my legs are straight. That's the training coming in, because otherwise I would have forgotten altogether what just happened.
When I was in an improv dance company, my telltale sign that it was a good show and that I did well was that I couldn't remember any of it.
Because you're in the moment.
Yeah, if I just like blacked out and was just like in whatever space it was, people would come up to me afterwards. They'd be like, Noah, when you did that jumping sequence and you just like kept going, and I was like, that sounds great. Tell me about what that looked like, because I have no idea.
When you black out, I never black out like that during training. So since I haven't performed in so long, I was just like, does that happen to me when I perform? Apparently so.
I love that. Whoa, semi-truck.
Oh no, trying to kill you.
Sorry.
Also, because it's ambient.
Whoa.
Because it's ambient, I'm thinking, because I don't know if I told you guys, but I wanted more training. Here I go.
There you go. You got it.
True.
Freaking, what do they call that? The manifest generator thing on some personality test. You're a manifest generator.
Manifest generator. I love it.
Yeah.
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 I don't always believe in the manifestation thing, but I feel like I'm being forced to believe it right now, because like I need to believe it. I need to manifest.
Oh, why? What's happening?
No, good things like, work stuff and getting more clients and doing some more dance things, and like I'm just like.
But I feel like you are, though, honestly.
Yeah. The fact that you have all of these things coming at you is like proof that you've been manifesting them, I think, right?
Maybe.
I'm gonna go with it. But that's what it is. We're going with it. Who cares?
But I've never been a manifester. Are you guys manifestors? Like, is that something you think about regularly?
I don't think about it, but I think that it actually is true. I don't think about it actively while I'm doing things, but 100% when I feel like the energy is a huge part of it. Like, you believe it, it brings it into existence, like 100%. Because I feel like the people who don't believe these things, it never comes into existence. So I kind of believe in the opposite. I don't know. Amanda, do you think about that?
Well, it goes hand in hand to like the actual action of what we were saying earlier. Like, you don't want to be too far into your brain space and never have it come to fruition. So the manifesting for me is just inspired action to do something. And then if you take one step to do the thing, then a snowball effect happens. Because to me, like, the energy you put out is the energy you receive back. So the more you put out there, the more it's going to come back to you, whatever that is.
Well, and you guys know how I post insanely. Like, I think it's insanely. I feel like it's insane, but to the outside world, it just doesn't probably feel like that. And yesterday, I was teaching my intermediate Lyra, and my student goes, "Hey, just wondering how many more spots you have available for sweet retreats." And I never talk about that gig in that space because maybe I'm wrong. I just don't think they're all necessarily the perfect candidate, but maybe I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong about that. Like, I don't know why I think that. I think partially it's because so many of my students there are such beginners, and retreats really aren't made for people who are still working on their first climbs, you know? Like, it's made for people who want to play and have like a pretty deep practice. So, but maybe I'm wrong about that because people are seeing it.
I mean, I feel like the retreat is geared to whoever you want to make it geared towards.
Yeah, that can be true for sure. Yeah.
Because I know for swimming retreats specifically, they have like excursions planned out, so it can be relaxed and chill, or it can be like intense training.
Yeah.
Or it could be a happy medium of both. Like you can have, you can organize it and schedule it in a way where you have all the levels. And it just depends on, I think, you and what you want to do and who you want to like cater to, I guess.
Amanda, did you have that conversation yet with Sweet Retreats?
I did. I'm still undecided. I'm still thinking of numbers and crunching numbers, and to see, because the retreat I want to host, I have to bring all of the equipment.
Oh,
and so
that makes it different.
Yeah, so I just have to see like how, who, and what those numbers turn out to be, and if it's financially makes sense for me.
Got it.
To let that be a thing.
Got it.
So yeah, I'm decided, but we're still in talks, still open.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. The equipment, it always is.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I mean, I will be teaching a retreat of that nature somewhere, sometime in the near future. Right now, I don't have any time, energy, or mental space to even think about that until March Madness is over.
March Madness, yes.
Woo! Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody, Pratel, have a question to pose today?
I've got something. It kind of came up last night in a conversation with a friend of mine, and I feel like it kind of has to do with our manifestation thing. We were talking about the concept of collaboration, and we also kind of were talking about manifestation, and we were talking about being alone and being with a group, or being with other artists or other people in your field. And it sort of stemmed from, like, I made a joke about how I'm a bit of a control freak, and that when I'm in a group setting and like I'm building something, I'm a little bit more, I'm more of a control freak in those settings. But when I'm on my own, I'm way less. And we started talking about the idea of, when you're working with a group versus when you're working alone, and how that sort of affects your process on any given project. And we started to, this is somebody that I used to work with, and we sort of went into okay, at what points in our process did we work alone, and what parts of our process did we work with other people? What parts of our process did we need to work with other people, and what parts did we need to work alone? And I think it was an interesting question of when do you feel like you are really productive on your own versus when do you feel like you need other people, or do you feel like you don't need other people? And what's it like for you in your work, in your entrepreneurial ventures, in your artistic practice, in your physical practice for that matter? Where do you feel like you thrive on your own versus as a group, or in a group, and what's that like for you?
Okay, I have a lot to say about this, and I'm going to like split it up. Okay. So I feel like this podcast is the best example of me working well with a group. But there's parameters to it, and I think that's why it works for me. It works because we each have our, like I produce this and I don't have to, and I don't share that responsibility. And I think that would be really hard to share responsibility of producing a podcast. But since you guys you guys come to the table with amazing conversations and we're able to kind of work together, but everyone is allowed their freedom. That's the best example of how I work well in a group, because I am very controlling as well. And I when it's in my department, I want it to be something that I control the timing of, control when I work. Amanda, would you like to jump in while Bean calms down, and then I can come back to my thought?
Totally. I think for me, anything creative in terms of like the physical, like doing the aerial stuff or like creating things, any part of the creative process, I work better alone. Because I don't know exactly why that is, but it's always been the case. Like if I train with other people, it becomes more of a social hour than an actual productive.
Wait, what do you mean? When we trained, we were so productive together, Amanda. I'm kidding.
Were we?
You remember how productive we were when we would go to the studio?
So productive. It's true. But I will say and that's true for like the business side of things and like the admin side of things. I have to have a clear understanding on my own first and get all the steps that I need to before I can communicate with a group and work with a group. If it's my project, if it's like this is a collaborative that is between the three of us equally, so it's not yours, Noah, it's not Kerry's, and it's not mine, it's ours. And like Kerry, you produce it, but we all talk equally, you know what I mean? So like there's I'll take Kerry's words, there's a freedom to that where it's not anything that I am solely responsible for. Anything that I'm solely responsible for, I need to take care of my being first before I can collab with people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I jump into what else, the second part of what I was going to say, Noah, do you have what's the answer for you? Like where do you thrive?
Yeah.
I think it's both. I know I've talked about like the feedback, the experience of getting feedback and how important I think that is on our podcast. And I think that for me is a big part of, I guess, working alone is like, I want to work alone. I want to do things on my own, but I have to get feedback for it. I have to get other people's thoughts and responses to whatever it is I'm doing. When I would produce shows and write shows, like I would spend sometimes hours, sometimes days, sometimes weeks in like an office with a whiteboard, just like writing things down and coming up with things. And then when I felt ready, I'd bring it to somebody else and be like, blow this up for me. Kind of like what I'm doing with the app. I built it and now I'm telling everybody like, break it. Tell me what's wrong with it. Tell me what I can do to make this better. And I feel like that's what I do a lot of the time, but working collaboratively with people that you really enjoy, like this music video that I worked on last year was one of those moments of just like, take the wheel. Like I've done my part. Now you take the wheel, and then, let's have a conversation about it while we're in the room and while we're making this. And, ooh, what if we try that? And ooh, what if we try that? And when you're with the right people, I think kind of what Kerry was saying as well, like when you're with the right people, it's, it really does a lot for you. And I think finding those people is so important.
Yeah, and finding those people is really hard, actually, until it's easy, I feel like. Because, so this is something I haven't talked about. It hasn't come up, but the business of Wrap Your Head Around Silks is not my first business. I was a part owner, maybe a 49% owner in a live cabaret show, maybe in 2004, 2010. And I was young. I was still in my dance career, but I took it on because to date, it is still one of the best pieces of art I've ever been a part of. It was choreographed by Kati Jean. She was my partner. And I ended up dissolving that partnership for many reasons, partially because I was still in the middle of my dance career. And if I were to take it very seriously, it would take me out of my dance career. I'd be an administrator earlier in my life than I needed to be. And I didn't really see that coming. Because, when you sign onto a project, sometimes you don't know if it's going to be successful. And then it catches a little fire. It catches a little success. And then you're like, oh my God, I have to make a choice. I still haven't toured. I still haven't done all this work that I want to do. And then the second thing I was going to say, and I've never talked about this publicly because I don't want to talk negatively about my ex-partner because she is one of the most genius choreographers I've ever worked with. I kind of put her in the same category as Terry Beeman, except in the dance world, we know Terry Beeman very well in the aerial where we do as well. Except I was very closely partnered for many years of my life. And it just became for me kind of impossible to work with a pure artist, which I do not consider myself. Do you guys know what I'm talking about, that differentiation?
Exactly what you're talking about.
I think so,
yeah. A pure artist is 1,000 more times more talented than me. They are 100% art. They are not 20% business. They are 100% art. They swim it, they live in it, they breathe it. And it became almost / impossible for me to be in a real business with somebody like that because I ended up doing 100% of the business, which I was not. I was 49% of the business. I wasn't 100% of the financial equity of the business. Have you guys ever experienced this, or have you guys always been the creative element in a partnership?
Trying to think, I haven't really had many business partnerships.
Have you been the most arty person that you are working with?
I want to say yes, only because, and I don't think it's I'm the most arty person that I've worked with. I think it's because I'm just so not familiar with the business part of it. I have to really work on.
Okay, so maybe you're more on that side than me. Maybe.
Yeah, I would consider myself more artsy, more creative, more on that lane, because the business stuff, it excites me in the way that I want to work for myself and I want to do things in my own way, but I'm not excited about owning a business. The business side of it doesn't excite me.
Got it. Yeah, I'm the opposite,
and
I think.
Not just the admin.
I think I'm the opposite. I think the business part of it is super exciting, and then I love the action of it, the art of it. Yeah.
Yeah. If I could just do the art of it, I would be happy.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised about that. I think that's more of us than I think I'm more on the unique side of that than. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great asset and skill to be and just have that passion for the business. And it's something that I think it has to be a learned love for me. Not that I can't get there, but it's just not the thing that comes naturally to me. It doesn't naturally excite me the way that the artistry of it does.
When I went through that, it came to me that I wasn't dark enough inside to make as good of art as somebody like that. What do you guys think about that thought? Am I wrong? Am I right? And I'm not saying a darkness like evilness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah. No, I get you. And I think that you're not wrong, but I think that that's a really broad stroke that it doesn't necessarily fit in all circumstances. But a lot of brilliant artists and actors and dancers and comedians, like a lot of their artistry comes from a dark place. But I don't think that always has to be the case to create brilliant works of art. Noah, what do you think?
I'm gonna plead the fifth. I think, Amanda, what you said is really nice. That there's lots of artists out there, and everybody brings whatever, maybe. And
I've had a producer say that to me.
What?
He's like, honestly, I think you're too happy to create.
Oh.
And I'm not saying that he's right, but the way he said it to me, it actually resonated. Like I have wells to pull from, but it made sense to me at the moment. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to pull on threads to maybe help you guys, like ask you guys to help me explain this, because I'm not like you guys are, well, Amanda, I can't see your face, but the vibes I get from you guys is that, yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to go deep into this without going deep into it. In the sense of what the darkness is and where it comes from and who interprets that, and like if it comes from your past experiences, the way you were raised, if it comes from your socioeconomic background, it comes from if I want to get woo-woo with it, like past lives and like things like that. So it's like it's a pretty vast subject to really dive into.
Yeah, totally.
For where I can only speak for myself because I that's the only subject that I can really speak on, right? So like I don't consider myself a dark person. Like I have a past. I have not so fun things from my past that have happened and how I grew up, but I don't necessarily pull from that, or I don't consciously pull from that when I'm creating anything. Like I don't actively, I'm like, oh, my parents did this and I'm going to use that to use this. Like it just happens.
Yeah.
So it's if you're in like intrinsically a happy person, like an art is so subjective, right?
Yeah.
Like so your work of art is just going to feel different from somebody who comes from a dark and brooding place.
Yeah. Okay, like kind of linking to the first thing that I had talked about, which is my partnership and working with people. Definitely when that person said it to me as a producer, it actually made a lot of sense to me when he said it to me. And then when it came to like stepping back one step, working with that person, I realized that like I started to learn at that young age. I was in my, mid-20s, what kind of a business person, what kind of an artist I am actually. Like I am truly a half and half. Like I dip my one hand into the art itself and the other hand. I started to learn who I was, and then I started to lean into it even though I didn't think about it too much, which is all the business side, because maybe I learned that I wasn't 100% an artist out of the whole, like out of my pie, that what I'm going to bring to the table is a lot of the other stuff. And it worked for me because the people who are 100% just the art, I don't know if they're going to necessarily be successful or not, but they swim in that like I knew I did not. I don't know. I think I'm getting a little woo-woo myself in this, but yeah, those are my thoughts. So, and then to pull it back, one question after that too, that Noah posed. After that, I got burned on working with partners for a long time. until I started doing podcasts, because with Greener Grass, I have a partner, and truly when you do a podcast, it doesn't have to last forever, but if your podcast is successful, you're partnered with these people for years. So kind of like if you start a band, you just don't know how successful you're going to be. And then, 30 years later, you're Motley Crue and trying to figure out how to get along type of thing. Yeah, I struggle working with a partner, I think, ever since then, because I'm such a control freak and I want to make all the decisions on my own.
I feel like I have worked with artists. When you said like artists who are, it's not that they're not that business oriented. They don't have they're not thinking about those things as much as I would say we are on this podcast. I've really enjoyed working with people like that because I feel like I can offer that side of things, that's a great artistic idea. I love that visual. How do we figure out how to do that? And, there's some people who are like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And then there's other people like me who I feel like are like, okay, what practically are we going to do to make that happen? And to think, I guess the how, and why versus just the what. But I don't think that is exclusive to, I don't think that to be a great artist, you don't think about those things. I think that there are so many great artists that I have worked with and engaged with that do think about all the pieces. And they are not just out here in the artistic sphere, just thinking about things and being artistic. There are great artists out there who do that and also, think practically and think entrepreneurially and all those things. And I think that is really important. But in the times that I've worked with artists who are out here, I've done it in, I would say, more of an advisory sort of role, or, as the person giving feedback or as the person who can be helpful in that way, because I've done both.
I think I might have to revisit my definitions of what I think a pure artist is. Because when I think of pure artist, I think of that person kind of off in left field, no connectivity to the Wi-Fi, their computer, and they're off creating something out of thin air and, complete pure genius. Maybe I need to revisit what that is, because yes, you're right. There are a bazillion amazing artists out there paying attention to all the aspects, which is why you have people winning Oscars and Grammys and all that, because they are paying attention to the audience and what they need. It's interesting, when I did it with my experience with working with that type of artist, sometimes they didn't even care what the audience thought. So interesting to me.
The artists that you're talking about that are not connected to Wi-Fi, which I think is a really funny way of putting it, if they make something that someone, in my opinion, that someone else really wants, and wants to see, then the people who are connected to Wi-Fi will help them. But the artists that are out there who are not connected to Wi-Fi, who realize that nobody else is necessarily going to help them do that or get them there, they need to get an internet connection, and they do, and they work hard at that, as much as they work hard at their art.
Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find Amanda Ritchie at Grounded in Flight on Instagram, and at Noah Doc on Instagram, as well as Red Flags app. And me, Kerry Wee, you can find at wrapyourheadaroundsilks.com. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We have so much more coming at you, including guests that are in this art world, that are blazing their way through new businesses, and just more banter from us. Thank you for listening. This is The Artist Entrepreneur.